By the way, and I learned from Diana that you were kibitzing in German with a German exchange student.
Oh yeah, she was adorable, just adorable, yeah.
And you spent some time in Germany, right?
We definitely did. When Dell was when he was drafted. Do we want to start there? It's kind of.
I just curious. We'll get there.
Okay, all right, we'll get there. He was a college graduate and had 5 deferments for the draft. Mm-hmm. And as soon as he got out of college, he took a job in Parkersburg, West Virginia, as a therapist, physical therapist, and I was at Corning Glass, so I just transferred to their small plant down in Parkersburg. But he didn't like the job, and every year he knew he was going to get called up for the draft, and he said, I might as well go and get it over with. So he did. I moved back to Corning, and he got drafted, and he went to Fort Dix, I think. Mm-hmm. He knew in 24 hours he was going to go to Germany because he was being sent to Colorado Springs, to an Operation Gyroscope, which was a 2-year rotation in Germany. So he took 6 months of training there in Colorado, and then they were all shipped out by troop ship, of course, to Nuremberg, Germany, Zerndorf, which is right outside of Nuremberg. Right. And then he was allowed to have me come to Germany if I could pay my own way, because these soldiers were all non-officers because they were draftees that were just finally got drafted. So none of them were officers. So they said I could come if I paid my own way, and he found a place for us to live before I left, which he did not do, but he didn't tell me. But by the time I got there, he did have a place for us to live. That's what I traveled on.
Okay.
That was in 19. I left to go to Germany. He was drafted in '56. I left in '57. I traveled on the SS United States. I paid $100, and I think I figured it out today. I traveled. I left Corning, New York, because I went back to Corning when he got drafted and stayed and worked at Corning Glassworks again. Then, by the time I saved enough money to go, it was March of 1957. So I took the Erie Railroad train to New York City on March the 14th, I think. Mm-hmm. I was so nervous. I'd never been out of Corning. So my sister had a girlfriend in New York City who met me there, stayed with me overnight at the Hotel Roosevelt. We went to the Rocket show that night. Yeah. And the next morning, I was so sick, she could see it, and so she went to the pier with me. And so when I left, I had been working at Corning Glass with patent attorneys. And unbeknownst to me, I bought a ticket on the B deck. But unbeknownst to me, they changed my ticket, my room, to Sun Deck because I was recommended and it was off season. So when I left Corning, I said, I don't know what to do when I get down there. They said, just walk up the gangplank. So I did, and they had to call me back for my ticket, and they wanted to put me on the Sun Deck. No, I paid for B deck. No, you're going to be on the Sun Deck. So okay, so that's where I went. 5 days, sure. 5 days on the ocean. New York to Le Havre, France, Southampton, England, Bremerhaven. Then I took a train ride to Nuremberg. Yeah, and that's where my husband met me.
So Corning, you mentioned Corning. That's
where I grew up.
You grew up. And tell me about your mom and dad.
Okay, my mom and dad. I was born. Let me just tell you. I got some notes here. Okay, the year I was born, Herbert Hoover was president, and Charles Curtis was vice president. Mm-hmm. My parents were Gladys Catherine Lee and George Merle Hunt. There were 7 of us born. I was number 6. 5 girls and 2 boys. One infant died about 24 hours after she was born. She would have been the 2nd child. Mm-hmm. Her name was Phyllis Dorothy. Now back then, it was when a couple lost a baby and then had it named, if they ever had any other children after that, they gave them that first name again. So that's why I'm Phyllis Margaret. Yeah. And my mom raised all 7 of us. Well, actually only 6 lived. And my father was Corning Glass Works payroll, but he abandoned us when we were young. So my mother pretty much raised us by herself. I mean, I have his death certificate. He died in San Francisco, and he was in the Army, and so I know nothing of him, basically. I have a picture of him, but that's it. So it was just my mom and us 6 kids. And my oldest brother was my mentor, my friend, the father figure. He was it in the family.
1930.
That was in 32. Oh, and that was the year of the Depression too.
Yeah.
Very bad time.
So you're born there in Corning.
Corning Hospital.
And Corning becomes your hometown. You go to school there.
Yep. I went all my school years there. Graduated from, let's see, Northside High School in 1950. There were 114 in our graduating class. I loved school. And basically, I don't have any baby pictures of myself. I was young. There wasn't time, I guess, at that time, and period of time in my mother's life to take pictures and all that kind of stuff. So I just remember I must have been a happy little girl because I don't remember anything bad.
You're happy now, so it must be.
Well, so it must be. And I had a lot of sisters and brothers doting on me, and I was next to the youngest, so now I'm the last of the siblings.
Yeah. So you grow up, and December 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor.
December 7th, 1941, a day of infamy. Even as Japanese diplomats were conferring with Secretary of State Hull on peace measures, Nipponese planes were swooping down on Pearl Harbor. This pictorial record includes both U.S. films and pictures made by the enemy as they dropped their load of death on the naval base, on Wheeler Field, on civilian homes and schools. 100 Japanese planes and a number of midget submarines took part in the attack. In an hour and 5 minutes, the battleship Arizona was completely destroyed and 4 others severely damaged. 3 other battleships and 3 cruisers suffered lesser damage. Nearly 200 planes were destroyed. In that Sunday morning inferno, the Pacific Fleet appeared to be completely immobilized by the sneak attack. Nearly 3,000 casualties added to the catastrophe. Within hours, the United States declared war.
I certainly do. I was 9 years old. I remember the day. I remember we went down to the Methodist church and sat in church for a few hours and just prayed. Yeah, I remember Pearl Harbor. And my brother, of course, was an Air Raid warden. And I remember the blackouts. And I remember he got drafted and went to India for 3 years. And I wanted so badly for you to interview him when you were doing those interviews.
Yeah.
But being in Corning, I didn't know how it would be possible. But yeah, so he was in India for 3 years. Yeah. And
so as part of that, do you remember the conversation or in the home? Because here you are the youngest. You got family members who ultimately did get drafted. I assume your brother got drafted?
Let's see, my youngest brother was in the Navy.
Okay.
And in fact, I had one sister who was killed in an auto accident when he was in the Navy, and they wouldn't even let him come home for her funeral. He was stationed out in Chicago, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
Was there trepidation? I'm just trying to live during that time period, 1941 when we get in, 1945 when it ends. You know, you got rations, you got air wounds. I'm trying to get a sense of what life was like in Corning.
I don't recall that it was difficult for us. We lived in a double house, 7 rooms, and you know, we just played, and we had a good gang of kids in the neighborhood. We used to play kick the can and 1, 2, 3 Barbary and all that kind of stuff, and played cards. I don't remember anything bad. I do remember though, when the war ended, my brother wanted to see a Christmas tree that year, and he did not make it home by Christmas. So my mother took down the real Christmas tree and put up an artificial and left it up till February when he got home. Yeah, I do remember that. And the first thing my brother did was buy my sister and I these two-wheel Schwinn bicycles. They were blue, they were balloon tire. Oh, they were beautiful. That was his present to us when he came home.
When the war ended in August of 1945, you know, and Truman announced it, was there celebration in Corning? Do you remember going out, bells ringing? Did you remember anything like that?
Don't remember anything like that. No.
You have a large family and a mother that's, did she get remarried?
No. Okay. No, I mean, later in life she did, but she had some friends, but not while we were younger.
How did the economics work? I mean,
well, basically, I'm pretty sure we had some social welfare for help. Yeah. But my mom worked. And,
did she?
all of us worked when we were old enough. And I mean, I was in high school. I used to work in a 5 and dime. And then, remember the Newberry stores? I did that. And, you know, life just went on. It wasn't difficult that I remember.
Was the Corning Glass and the Houghtons, were they, was that a presence there?
Oh, a big present. They were the Episcopal Church in Corning. Oh my gosh, yes. In fact, yeah, Emma Houghton was the ambassador to France the year that we were in Germany. We wanted so bad to look him up, but we ran out of time. Oh no, they were the Episcopal Church, and of course we were we were always in church, yeah, for Episcopal Church, for everything, you know, choir, Sunday school.
Did any of your family work for Corning Glass?
My dad did, until he got, I don't know, I guess he got into alcohol. Nobody ever talked about him much. He had a sister that helped us out a lot. I remember her visiting us. But no, let's see, as we got older, or as we grew up, let me think now. Oh well, my younger sister's, let's see, my younger sister's husband, he worked for Corning Glass Works. Yeah. I can't remember what his title was, but he was, you know, not in the offices or anything, so he must have been right back. Oh, and then my father-in-law, of course that goes on, that goes way ahead, we're going way ahead of ourselves. He was a glass blower. Yeah, he came from Sweden.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about your husband.
Oh, my husband.
Give me a name and
okay.
Let's go right in the beginning. How did you meet? Let's
I knew you were going to ask that.
Let's get focused.
Okay, hold on.
I've never had anybody.
Oh, and as a young family too, all of us were, you know, members of the Episcopal Church. I guess I did know that. Okay, how did I meet my husband? His name is Delmore. Capital D is in Donald. E-L, M as in Mary, O-R-E. His middle name is Garrison Newman. N-E-W-M-A-N. My father-in-law's name was Newman, and he changed it to Newman when he became a naturalized citizen. We used to hear the story of him. He came through Ellis Island, and we have a memorial for him there on the wall. He used to tell us how he rode the subway all day long because he didn't know where to get off. when he finally did get off, you know, get settled there, whatever. Now, where was I? I was giving you my husband's name. Oh, I know. I met him through my sister, oldest sister, who played cards with his sister-in-law. And they thought that Del was in college then. Do you remember Champlain College? Well, he was part of that until it closed. He closed his second year, I believe, that he was up there. So he used to come home, and my sister said, and her friend said, we should meet. And of course, he graduated from Corning, New York, too, the same high school I did, but a year ahead of me. So we started dating, and then he transferred to Ithaca College for 3 years, and that's when he became a physical therapist. And the year that he graduated, we got married a month later. He got a job in Parkersburg, West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked for Corning Glass. I just transferred down there. Basically, I worked, you know, there's a lot of stories about attorneys, but I worked for some of the nicest attorneys in my lifetime. I was in legal and patent department. We used to type all the applications for the formulas.
Wow.
And they were on the old typewriters, legal size paper, 3 carbon copies. You could not make any corrections of any kind. So I was pretty good at that. With the typing, what have you. Oh, right, yeah. We were, after we got married, we moved to Parkersburg, and that's when he stayed there for a year, but wasn't happy with his job. And he said, I might as well go and get it over with. And so then I went back to Corning, transferred again, and he, like I said, told you, he went to Colorado Springs for his basic training, and then went right over to Germany. Yeah, we had a great time though. We lived with a German family. Mm-hmm. We had a 2-bedroom apartment. It was a kitchen with a window in the ceiling, skylight. No hot water running, no running hot water. Gas stove with, no, a wood stove with 2 gas jets on the end of it. And no heat, of course, unless we built a fire. That was one room. That was on the 3rd floor of this house. And then we had to go out a door, and then we had a bedroom, 2 twin beds with a window that did open up, which was nice. It was on the wall, not in the ceiling. And then our bathroom was just a toilet and a closet with one of those drawstring flushing things. And we had, oh, here's another thing. We had to put a telephone in. So we bought 3 telephone poles and all this wire running up the hill. And then we had to pay for the installation of the telephone because he had to be able to be reached by the base.
What was his job?
He was, he didn't practice therapy there, but he was in the medical unit, you know, just taking care of patients that were come in. Yeah. No, but he did get in the medical unit, which is better than some jobs he could have had.
Do you get a sense at all of here you are in Nuremberg, 10 years earlier, that was the site of the trials, the Nuremberg trials. Was there any sense of that at the time? Did that mean anything?
I'm trying to think. No, not at that time. I'm trying to think now where we lived. We were the last house, too, before you got to the base, in this little town called Zerndorf. No, basically, there was not, and the family treated me very well. They had a daughter married to an American GI, so they took me under their wing since I was away from home. And I felt very safe there. When Dell would go out on maneuvers, they would never let anybody in the house unless they recognized him.
So there was a couple of rooms that sounded like you didn't have heat, but you must have created some heat because you had
we had the wood-burning stove.
You had a daughter there, wasn't there? At some point?
That was Carol. She was born, I got pregnant over there. And then she was...
Because there was no heat, I get it. Okay, now...
I was 6 months pregnant when we came home. The reason we came, she wasn't born there, was because after we were there for about 9 months in Germany, Dell's unit was going to be moved to Frankfurt, Germany. And rather than move the married personnel, they just decided to send us home early.
Sure.
And then, that's why we came home early before his time was up.
Where were you based? Where was he based here? When you came back to the United States, did he go back to Parkersburg?
No. No. No, what he did, oh, this is another idea, another thing. He came back to Fort Dix there where he was going to be. We got in on December the 21st or 2nd, something like that. So we went AWOL, we went Corning. For Christmas, we wanted to be home for Christmas.
Okay.
And of course we stayed with his family and my family, depending on when he was there and when he wasn't. So then the day after Christmas he went right back to the base and he got discharged. Now, let me tell you this. Eisenhower was not very good to the GIs. He took the GI Bill of Rights away and they got nothing at that point when they were discharged. Absolutely nothing.
Didn't know that. Yeah.
No, I know, that was not good. So after he was discharged, he came back to Corning. We stayed with his parents while he was job hunting. And then he finally got a job in Utica, New York, in a hospital for therapy. And I stayed in Corning waiting for Carol to be born, and he would just come home weekends, you know. He stayed with some friends there in Utica. He didn't have to get an apartment until we all moved out there.
You moved out to Utica?
Yeah, we did when Carol was born. I still stayed with my sister in Corning until I got recuperated for about 6 weeks, and then we all went to Utica. We had a small house at the top of a hilly driveway. I remember it was a darling house. Basically, it was fun with 2 bedrooms, and we were near the Rome Air Force Base. You know, that's when they had the sonic booms.
Yeah.
Oh, they were disturbing. Yeah. Very disturbing.
I can just imagine. You don't know what's coming. Not like they broadcast.
No warning whatsoever. Yeah. So we stayed in that area for 2 years. And then he had 2 jobs because his first job, Del had not had his license yet to practice, but he was on I think a 6 months. He could work 6 months until he took his test for his license, and he did not pass one part of the test, so he lost his job. So he drove truck until he could take the test again, and then he got a job with the county, which was very political. So he stayed there for a year, but it was so political. He said he didn't want to stay there, so we got a job back. We moved back to Corning. He got a job at Corning Hospital. And of course, therapy, you know, was a new profession, and the doctors were just using him for cardiograms and this type of thing. He wasn't doing therapy. So it was through a salesman going through Corning that he heard about the job at WCA. Ah. Did you know George Lawn?
Sure.
Okay. Well, George Lawn was the one that hired Del.
Oh, we are.
Yeah, because he was swamped with her, and first Del took the job, and then he decided he didn't want to. And George said, "Oh, come on, name your price. We need you, and we'll pay for your move to Jamestown." So we came. So we moved here in May of 1961.
And with you came Carol?
Carol, plus Mary, because Mary had been born in Corning. Okay. December 25th of 61. I guess it was 62 that we moved here in May. So she was 5 months old.
So that gets you to Jamestown.
Yeah, I mean, you should see the house we were renting now. Oh my gosh, it needs to be torn down. Oh, it is a mess. But it was on the corner of Liberty and Lincoln. But it was a great place for us. It was a full house, but a double house. It was like, you know, it had the second house right in the back of it attached. I don't know if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what
yeah.
you're doing.
And it was Dr. Scarpino, I think, lived across the street from us. It was a good neighborhood when we were there. Yeah, it was good. And we lived there until a year later we bought one of those national homes, remember them? Mm-hmm. We went up to Vinnie Street, a brand new neighborhood. Yeah. We were the first or second house there.
It's in Allen Park, isn't it?
Up above. Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, it was no street there, I'll tell you. It was a new area. And there was one other couple across the street that we became friends with. We used to play cards at night. We'd lock our house and go play cards. We'd watch the front of the house. And then they'd come to our house and they'd watch their house. But no curbs, no sidewalk, no nothing. And as the kids began to toddle around and get more active, they would be about then 4, 5. Carol would be 4. Mary would have been 5 months. But as she began to get older, not too old because we didn't stay there that long, we had play clothes for Vinnie Street, and we had play clothes to go someplace else because there was, you know, no grass, no nothing. We just watched the neighborhood grow up. But it was a great place. Basically, it worked out nice.
Give me your best Carol story.
My best Carol story. Wow, there's so many.
All right, give me a couple good ones. I don't know if they'd ever be good.
Okay. I have to stop and think about that, Greg. Let me think. Oh, well, here's one thing I remember, which you learn after you have more than one child. She was having difficulty in school. We had no idea it was her eyes. until she got to be about 3rd or 4th grade, and we finally had her eyes tested. Well, no wonder she was having a little difficulty in school. So after that, we had the kids tested, even the other two.
Sure.
Yeah. So she did really, really well. Yeah, then. Yeah. She was very friendly. Had lots of friends. Being a parent was all new to us, so we learned the hard way about a lot of things. No book come with her.
No book comes with it. That's right. So Dell's now working for George Lawn.
Yep.
And that's connected with WCA at the time,
yep.
right? Did they have physical therapists also with Jamestown General? I mean, we had 2 hospitals at the time.
I know we had 2 hospitals. I can't tell you that. I don't remember. I'm
curious whether there was a relationship.
I don't remember that, but I do remember Dell was the first one for George to hire, and he was so busy. After that came Joe Strahovski. I don't know if you knew him as a therapist. Mm-hmm. And after that, Bruce Johnson.
Sure.
Do you know Bruce and Donna?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he had 3 therapists, and they were busy and making a lot of money for George, but only on an hourly basis.
Mm-hmm.
So what they did, they went to the administrator, and I can't remember his name now, and they got put on a salary. They got put on a salary, not an hourly salary, but they were, what would you call it, Greg? I know what I mean. And it kind of disturbed George Lawn a lot, the fact that they went over his head. But they got better salary and they got more benefits.
Was Murray Marsh the guy?
Yeah, it was Murray Marsh, definitely. And so after a while, George for a couple of years wouldn't even give him a salary increase. But then he kind of warmed up to the fact of, I
think he did it. He did that for a long time, didn't he?
Oh yeah, Dell worked there for over 30 years.
Oh my gosh.
Between Dell and Bruce and Joe, they had almost 100 years of service to the hospital. Yeah, they were physical therapists. They worked together very well. Yeah, it was a good position. And we saw the therapy department grow. When he started, it was in the basement and just a couple of rooms there, as I remember. And it grew like everything else.
George was very active in civil rights.
Definitely.
And in fact, I did an interview with George.
You did?
Way back when. And did that flow into the business itself? Did George kind of bring in Dell
No, he never did. We remember the Selma March.
Yep.
George did that. No, he never came into the business as far as any problems with it.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew what he liked, and but no, I don't recall any problems there. George was great, and Irene too. They had about 9 kids, I think.
Yeah, they had a number. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it was a good time. It was a good time. Yeah.
And George was a World War II veteran.
Was he?
Yeah.
I see. I don't remember that.
Through the Jackson Center, we encouraged the French government. The ambassador from France came to Chautauqua one time and gave George the medal from France, the government of France, for service, which was really cool. I digress. So what were you doing all this time? Keeping Carol in line?
Yeah, with the 3 children, I would take Dell to work in the morning, so I'd have the car.
Mentioned, just so we get for the record, you mentioned Carol, you mentioned Mary, and
then my youngest daughter, Paula, was born in Jamestown. She's the only one that was born in Jamestown.
Okay.
And I always tell everybody, your 3rd child you have so much fun with. Because, they just grow up. Right. And they were 4 years apart. So when the other 2 are in school, Paula and I had a lot of fun. Yeah.
Well, I'm the oldest, like Carol, so I understand how my sister, who's the 3rd, she grew up by different parents. Completely different parents. So you stay at home mom at this time, right?
I did.
Yeah.
And as I said, I learned to drive when I came to Jamestown because I figured if Dell ever got sick, I would be stranded. And he did. So I learned to drive. Not good, but he wouldn't let me ride. He wouldn't ride with me when I was driving. But I learned to drive, and I would take him to work.
That's such a male thing, by the way.
I know it. We had one car, and let's see, my train of thought here. Oh, I would take him to work in the morning, you know, with the kids, and then take it and go back home and keep the car for the day to do my errands. And we did a lot more, and the children did a lot more because I learned to drive.
Yeah, yeah.
And we, yeah, because the city bus didn't run up that far. And when we left up there, we moved to the west side, and then we had a city bus that we could kind of depend on too sometimes. And I just was happy doing what I did, and you know, it was busy time because, you know, the children are small. They never had daycare or anything like that. So.
Were you a PTA mom? Were you? Did you get involved in any of the service organizations?
If I got into school, I mean, I probably did school things with them, but I don't remember being a big part of those organizations. I'm sure I went to meetings and all that kind of stuff.
Was he part of a service club at all, the Masons or the Elks?
Oh, he was a Elk.
Elks?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He liked the Elks.
Like the Elks?
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my sister's oldest husband in Corning was the head of the Elks. I don't know what the titles are.
Yeah.
Getting back to the hospital and salaries too, I remember, oh, maybe I can't remember, when they went for more money for the hospital. I got a name on the tip of my tongue and I can't say it. But anyway, it doesn't matter, I guess. He was on the same basis of everybody that was not salaried. There's a name for that, but I just can't remember it. Mm-hmm. And there was one person that was really resented it, but I can't remember that name either. I think he's still living, but it doesn't matter.
At WCA?
Yeah.
Dudley Erickson?
Yeah, Dudley. Yeah, Dudley was a little
stingy Swede.
He was a little put out because those guys were put on the same basis that he was.
Yeah, yeah, Dudley.
Yeah, and actually they had, I don't know if he had a college degree, but they did.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
Yeah. That was. He's still alive. Yeah.
Uh huh.
Dudley, you're a good guy, so we'll keep this in. So, Del and you lived on the west side, moved to the west side, and he was involved in the Elks, and clearly your daughter became a grand poopa at the Elks. No, aren't you an Elks?
No, Rich did.
Rich?
Rich was the one. Going back just a little, you asked me what I did, and because I was home so much, there are two things happened. Del and I never got to do anything by ourselves. So we finally joined Little Theater, and we finally got, did you know Walt DeVoe?
Yes, sure.
We got his daughters to babysit for us, because they lived up there in that area, in the hill, at the top of the hill. Plus, I took a part-time job at Russ St. Plaza Drug. At evenings, just so I could get out a couple nights. And that worked out really well for me. And we became very close friends with Phil and Janice.
Phil Westlick, yeah.
In fact, Phil was with Del when he had his heart attack at Maplehurst.
Yeah.
And on a Labor Day, 1978. And rushed him to the hospital. Didn't even call an ambulance. Yeah, we became that's how we got to know them. And of course, we joined the Presbyterian Church. They were very active there. That was when Van Beaver left and John Schmidt came. Did you know him?
I did.
Oh yeah. We went through 3 or 4 18-year ministries. John Schmidt, let's see now, John Schmidt, Tom Sweet, there was one in between,
Sandy
McConnell, and then I thought there were 4. But we loved the church, and we really very active. And Del did too. He was a deacon in the section. Kids went through confirmation. Carol and Mary were baptized in Corning in the Episcopal Church, but then we moved here. Paula was baptized here, and all 3 of them were confirmed Presbyterian Church. We were very active Presbyterian Church and loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was Sherry Cadwell part of your world there on the Presbyterian Church?
Yeah, well, his wife was.
Carol?
She was so nice. Yeah, I liked her a lot. Yeah. She welcomed us, yeah.
Sherry and Carol were our mentors.
Were they?
When we came back here.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we really enjoyed the Presbyterian Church. Yeah. Yeah, it was a great experience. And basically, I missed I missed, what's the last one that left?
Hagel? Bob Hagel.
I miss Bob Hagel too, yeah. Yeah, I liked him a lot too.
Well, I remember you draw the name Russ Link, and I lived on Allendale.
Oh, okay.
Right in Allen Park, so that was the go-to place.
Uh-huh.
And Russ Link Drugs, they also had that kind of restaurant in the back. As you go down, and all of a sudden you go to the right, there's a counter. And I don't know if Russ Link's actually ran that or they leased it out, but you had to go through the drugstore to get there.
So, did you know then Marv Russ Link too?
Marv, yeah.
Yeah, I remember him. He was, he worked closely in the business. He was a pharmacist.
Yeah.
He was really nice too. Yeah, we used to spend almost as we became to know each other, we spent New Year's Eve together, always going out to dinner and then playing pinochle.
Well, I can see now where your son-in-law Rich's card playing comes from you. I can see.
I love to play cards.
Yeah, I can see that.
Well,
this is all clear.
But I grew up playing. My grandparents were a big part of our life too. My mother's father and mother. And in Corning, we always played the game of 500. No, that's not 500 rummy. It was a bidding game with right and left bower and joker. And we used to play that with the adults all the time. Then we moved up here. Nobody ever played that game up here.
Yeah.
But they played pinochle, and Dal would not have anything to do with bridge. He hated it. He tried it, but he said, "I will not do this." so basically,
she loves games.
Oh, I can see that.
She and Rich together are
competitive.
ruthless.
They're competitive.
Yeah.
And he was that way with our children.
But after Dell died, I took bridge lessons. Paid $65 with. Okay, who was the head of the business college there for so long?
Well, Tyler Swanson.
Okay, they got a divorce. So before his wife left the area, she gave one more set of bridge lessons, and I paid.
Gloria.
Yes, I paid $65, and I'll tell you, it was the best $65 I spent after Dell died. I had so much fun with that. Only been insulted a couple times, and I just, well, forget it. I won't play with you again. But you can get some diehard players that they forget it's a game.
Yeah. So when did Dell pass away?
Be 29 years in February, 1995. He had been having heart problems, and he went to. Well, he had his first heart attack actually when he was 47, I think. And I had him home for about 6 months. In fact, as I said, Phil Russink was with him playing golf up at Maplehurst. And I had him home for 6 months, which is unheard of now. They didn't do catheterizations and all that kind of stuff then. He was in the hospital for 3 months, and I had him home. Not a total of 6 months, but about the 4th month he began to go back to work a couple hours, and then gradually worked up to full time. He was totally exhausted at the end of the day, but he was so much happier working that I just thought, well, this is good. So he was able to work, I think it was 47 he had his heart attack. He was able to work until age 63. Yeah, he retired. Yeah, which was good. And and he, was under the care of a cardiologist. I forgot what his name. Remember? I don't remember his name. Dal would not go for a catheterization when they started doing them. He did not want to know anything.
Right.
He was so afraid of it happening again. So he just was under the care of this cardiologist here. No, he wasn't a cardiologist. He was actually an internist. But then he began to. We took a trip. We took a trip to Florida. First time we were ever there. When he retired at age 63. And when we were down there, he had a spell, and was never quite right after that. We made out all right with the trip. We were down there for 2 weeks. And he came home, and he went to the doctor, and I said, I'll bet you didn't tell the doctor about your spell, did you? He said, no, which I knew he wouldn't. And then he ended up having to go to Erie for catheterization, and that's when they explained to us it was not really good. He said it wasn't the heart, but he needed to go to Cleveland Clinic, and they took care of him there. And of course they knew the heart problems, but he also needed a kidney bypass, which horrified us. But he was going to do it, and we came home on February 14th on Valentine's Day from Cleveland. We were sitting there, and I said, we shouldn't be sitting here Valentine's Day eating peanut butter and jelly, because, you know, we'd been to Cleveland for a few days, and the next day he sent me this beautiful bouquet of flowers and said, I love you, this will brighten your day. And then he died a couple of days later. He never did have to go for the kidney bypass. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was to be 29 years next month. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you guys travel a lot?
Yeah, we did. As soon as the kids got out of college, we traveled a lot because we thought we should. And we went to Bermuda twice. And I was talking to my middle daughter today, and every May we'd go up to Cape Cod before the season began because it was less expensive. Mm-hmm. We did that for a week, the two of us. Yeah, we did a lot of nice things, and we were so glad we did. Didn't wait till he retired, because he only had 1 year of retirement.
Sure.
But we did get that one nice trip to Florida. I had never been to Florida in the winter, and I don't think Dal had either.
Yeah.
We were down there for 2 weeks. It was fun.
Yeah,
it was fun.
I'm sure. And along the way, I'm looking at your pile of notes over there, and what haven't we covered here in your notes? I mean, I want to make sure you spent some time.
Oh, I spent a lot of time
working here.
This is like writing a book.
Well, let's make sure we get out.
Let me just see here where I started. Let me just see where I started. We went to Frankfurt, and we were at the airport in Frankfurt for 3 days waiting for a plane to take us back to the United States.
Yeah.
Because of the weather. Mm-hmm. And then when the fog lifted, then they put us up for $1 a night. I paid $1 a night, and of course he was military. So boy, we took off one after another. Yeah, we were in the air. So that was Seaboard and Western Constellation military. We were in the air I think about 21 hours, going from Frankfurt to Shannon, Ireland, and then we had to get off the plane there. And then 9 hours over the ocean. Oh, no. And then we went to Gander, Newfoundland. And then Gander, Newfoundland down to New York. Yeah. It was quite a trip. Indeed. You could go around the world now in that, couldn't you?
Yeah, good.
No jets then.
Yeah.
Absolutely no jets then. Yeah. Okay. Let me just see here. But I had some notes here. Things I wanted to really remember, the kids to remember too. Let me see here. Well, here's one wonderful thing I remember about Carol. She graduated from college in 1980, mm-hmm. Right? Yep. She got quite a bit of money for graduation gifts. And it was the year of our 25th wedding anniversary, and she used that money to give us a surprise 25th wedding anniversary party. So I thought that was great.
Yeah.
That was very nice.
Very nice.
Yeah, so that's a very special thing. I remember that.
It was not easy surprising you.
What's that, honey?
It was not easy surprising you.
Wasn't it?
But we did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but that was very special to us. Yeah. And then Del and I went to Toronto for the week after it. But that was very, very special. Okay. In 1999, my youngest daughter, Paula, got married. And so she and her husband were married. She worked for, she graduated from Fredonia and then got a job at the bank there in Jamestown. And it was not, no, she got a job. She worked part-time at the bank in Jamestown while she was in college at Fredonia. And then she got a job in Buffalo in commercial lending. And she was just a gopher. She didn't like that at all. So she got a hold of a headhunter and found this job down in, help me out. Charlotte? Was it Charlotte? Okay. Found a job in Charlotte at a bank down there. And they paid her a $25,000 sign-on bonus.
Wow.
That was back in 1998, which was pretty good. So she bought a house with it down there. And then she worked with the bank, and that's where she met the love of her life. And he was from Lynchburg, Virginia. So then they ended up getting married in 1999, and Paula's dad had died, so she didn't want to come home to get married. So they decided to get married at Charleston, South Carolina. And Chris was from Lynchburg, so the minister from Lynchburg went to Charleston and married them. And there were about 50 of us at the wedding there. It was at the chapel on the medical center there, the medical college. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And Chris and Paula went to Hawaii for their honeymoon. But the rest of us spent a week at the Isle of Palm. That's one thing I want to get. I got all these photograph albums today too. That this is worse than writing a book. So anyway, I always want to remember that, the Isle of Palm. We had a great time down there, didn't we? Weather wasn't the greatest, but we had a great time. The kids had a ball. They had their reception right there at the chapel. Or no, it wasn't at the chapel, but it was a sorority house or something on the grounds of the medical college. It was magical. It was magical. Yeah, it really was. They drove away at night in a horse-drawn wagon, not wagon, but carriage, yeah. So that was special, 1999, that all of us being in the South there for a while. And then we had, we had a family vacation at Holden Beach, and it was the first vacation we had our grandson, the first boy in the family. He was 5 months old. And we had a great time there for a whole week, yeah. Those homes are beautiful, you know, you have everything. Mm-hmm. It held the whole family, and the weather was good. We had a great time. And then the other occasion was, we took a family vacation at Duck, Carolina, at the beach. Yeah, and we had a great time. There again, the kids were older. It was a great place for the teenagers, and Sarah was driving by then. They had a great time. It was just a good time for all of us. Those are the special occasions. And then, when I turned 85, we rented a home up at the Peak and Peak on Canterbury Road, and we were all together for a week, and that was special. And then for my 90th birthday, we were at the Peak again at Canterbury Road. Now, Sarah's family couldn't make that, neither could Jim and Em, but we had the rest of us. Yeah. And then, of course, we were all together this past September 2nd. I remember you and Cindy on the dance floor. Yeah. Definitely. So that was very special, because all 20 of us were together there. Yep. Even though we all got COVID afterwards.
It was a spreader event.
It was a start of it. Not all of us, but.
So I just have to say, there's been a story about me, a story about Paula. You need a story about Mary, because she's the middle child, and she'll really feel like the middle child.
I know, and she says I always feel left out. Okay, let me stop and think about Mary, because she's special, always special. Of course, she was born on Christmas Day in Corning, basically, and I had a lot of fun with her. But I'm trying to think, because, you know, she was. Yeah, she's special, basically. I can't think of any vacations. She was involved with all of them. Yeah. And she would always complain on the middle child, you know. You always get that story. You always get, are you a middle child too?
No, I'm the oldest, but I've heard it from my brother. It was,
okay.
So,
see if I had anything else here. Okay, I'm just really getting back here.
I love this. This is great. Okay. She really worked on this.
Oh, I did, and it's a good thing, because because I was flabbergasted when she said, today, 1:30 is being changed to 2, and what's been changed? So I was busy last night and this morning trying to remember all these things that I wanted to be remembered anyway. And of course, we've all enjoyed my grandson in, there's a picture of Dell and I.
Well, that's it. I'll take some pictures here, and I'll work them all in. Oh my gosh, fantastic.
Yep.
Well, what a handsome couple. My golly.
Okay. I don't have many pictures. Here's me as a in my band uniform in high school. I want to go back to the high school years too. Now here's a picture of my mom with my 3 sisters, like there.
Well, there's 5 people total. So who is it? Your mother and
my mother and the 4 of us girls.
Okay, 4.
Uh-huh.
Got it.
No, the brothers aren't in there. I had a nice one of all 6 of us kids, but I just didn't get to that one. I knew I'd forget some things, but these are just pictures that we took of the groups of us at those family vacations.
Oh, well,
I've got everybody's age on the back.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the other question I was asked to ask you is, who's your favorite son-in-law?
Oh, okay.
That rhymes with Vixen.
I'm always, yeah, and then another one you get is, who's your favorite daughter? Who's your favorite daughter? Can't answer those questions. I just tell them.
Well, I'm just telling you what I was told as I walked out the door.
I tell them this. Rich, you're my favorite son-in-law here in Jamestown.
Yeah.
Chris, you're my favorite son-in-law in North Carolina. Rusty, you're my favorite son in Onaville. So that's what son-in-law. Yeah.
That's good. That's very politic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Was Dell involved in politics?
No, he didn't like politics, and that's why he got out of that one job in Utica. Yeah, he just didn't like that. No. But he was very involved with the Presbyterian Church. He liked that. He was raised a Baptist, and I was raised Episcopalian. So when we left Corning, we had to compromise when we had Carol. We had to figure out what to do about that. Yeah.
Having being a Baptist, we never played cards, so they wouldn't.
Oh, Delmar's mother was. She was one of these hardline Baptists too. Yeah. Couldn't be Baptist, that's for sure.
Can't dance, can't. It was hardcore. I mean.
Okay. See. Oh, I know. I have to tell you too, before I forget. My first visitor at my apartment in Germany, when my husband left for base that morning, I was kind of lost, in a new country and never been away from home before. I heard this knock on the door, so I opened the door. Guess who stands there? A chimney sweep, all dressed in black.
Okay.
The brushes, the hat, everything. I looked at him and I just closed the door in his face, which is not good because that was an insult. That's an honored profession. So my landlady, he went down and got my landlady, and she came back upstairs and she explained that he has to come once a month clean out the chimney.
Like Mary Poppins. Yeah.
I know, and I know. We spent so much time at Soldiers Field too when we were in Germany. I mean, many Sundays, just walking around. Oh, there's so many herds of sheep. I mean, it was so big. I know I gave you, you probably don't remember this, but when you were working on Nuremberg a lot with what's the famous building there?
Well, the actual stadium itself?
No, the other, where the trials were.
Oh, Palace of Justice.
Palace of Justice. When you were working on that, I came over to your place one day and I had pictures made of Soldiers Field that had the actual Soldiers Field on it, because I don't think you had any. You probably don't. You probably don't remember that.
I don't remember that, but now I do. I mean, now I remember.
Also, when you took that trip, with afterwards to the Palace of Justice, it was after Dell died. I wanted so bad to go on that trip, and I could afford the ticket, but there was some other expenses I couldn't afford, so I didn't push it. Yeah, I wanted so bad to go back there with that group.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was probably an interesting, because you went through the whole Palace of Justice then, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we walked by there a lot, but we were never in it.
No, we did the full show and went to the Zeppelin field where Hitler, at the big Nuremberg, the lights and the parades. And,
okay.
And that's really, really amazing.
Yeah, that would, I really wanted to do that trip, but it's all right. I did a lot, so can't dwell on that. I don't think there's anything else here. Okay. Oh, I told you about us owning 3 telephone poles.
I love that story.
And then when we left the apartment, we sold the phone to the couple.
So did you?
Yeah, the grandparents there. There was the Uma and Upa lived on the second floor. We were on third floor. And they had a train set up there in one of the rooms too. It was unimaginable. These trains with everything, miniature.
Yeah.
And then the daughter and her husband lived on the first floor. Did I say grandparents lived on the second floor? They were so good to us, but why am I telling you that? Okay. I don't know. Oh, I know. I was going to say, the daughter and her husband had 2 boys, and the youngest one was always running up and down the stairs singing, "Row, row, row your boat." He couldn't speak any English, but he was always running up and down. He was awfully cute. Yeah. They were a good couple. Later we heard that the daughter got hit by an American Jeep accidentally and was killed after we left, which was kind of sad. And he worked for the son-in-law worked for the Nuremberg newspaper. No, he worked for Nuremberg. It must have been telephone company, because when we had the phone installed, we got this huge telephone bill that we couldn't pay, and we knew it was wrong. So we took it to the son-in-law, and then he got it straightened out for us. They were charging us for phone calls for everybody in Nuremberg, I think, or Zerndorf at least, yeah. But that got taken care of. And they used to invite us to all their birthday parties, which were extremely nice, yeah, all kinds of food. Yeah, they included us in the family. They were very, very nice to us, yeah. Good experience. I have now all these boxes of slides. What do you do with them? Nobody wants slides now. Nobody uses them. I don't know what to do with them.
Good luck figuring that out. I inherited my mother's 150 scrapbooks, and I'm telling you, I don't know what to do with them. Other than you don't want to willy-nilly throw them out. So. In fact, I'm going through stuff now too, but there was something else I wanted to tell you. I wanted to go back to high school too, because we had, I told you, we had 114 in our class. Oh, I know, we went to Crystal Beach for our senior trip. Really? That was a big trip, that was a big deal. Yeah. Because we took the Erie Railroad up to Buffalo, then we took another, what do you call it, to go across the lake. Ferry.
Ferry, we took the ferry across the lake. We spent all day and half of the night there, Crystal Beach, and then went back to Buffalo by ferry and took the train back to Corning. And it was 24 hours. That was a big deal for us. I have pictures of Crystal Beach.
Well, there's a wonderful PBS movie, Buffalo PBS video on Crystal Beach.
Oh, there is?
During your time period. And if your daughter's any kind, and certainly your son's any kind of guy, he will tool that up on PBS.
Okay.
He'll show you.
So I had some black and white pictures that I took there, but we had a great time. We thought that was a big deal. Yeah. I worked for a legal and patent department at Corning Glass, and they were the nicest attorneys and just wonderful people. Now this was a big deal. It doesn't sound like it, but they wanted me, and they didn't want me. They had me take a train to Binghamton, New York, to take a notary public exam. Now this is back in 1956.
Yeah.
No, 51, because I graduated in 51. This was a big deal. So then I had to all the men that were doing the formulas for the glass, had to assign their rights to Corning Glass. So I notarized their signatures, all of them, when I was there.
That's what makes it official, and that's why Corning became Corning.
Yes.
That's how they did that.
But that was a big deal, though, for me. I mean, heck, I was 19. I would have been, I'm trying to think. I was, 20, 21, something like that, without figuring it out on paper. But that was, they were just great people to work for. And they were the ones that got me moved from B deck to Sun deck on the. But now your SS United States was a class system. It was B deck, tourist, and then a Sun deck. Was that right now? A Sun deck? No, Sun deck, first class, and B deck. That was it. So that's how I happened to get moved to the Sun deck. And there were 3 of us in that cabin. One lady was French, and she was weird. She got off at Le Havre, and I was really glad about that. the other lady, I can't remember, but she must have been okay. And when I got to Bremerhaven, I didn't know what to do, because you had to go to customs. So I found an American couple, well, American GI with a German bride going back to visit. And I asked them, I said, can I stay, you know, follow you around, you know, until tomorrow morning when we go through customs? Oh, they said, by all means. So I ate supper with them that night and spent the evening. And then they let me sit with them on the train after we went through customs, and they got off at Firth, which is just before you get to Nuremberg, yeah. And so that was kind of nice too.
That's where Robert Jackson lived, was in Firth.
Was Firth, really? Okay.
Just outside.
Nuremberg's a beautiful city,
Yes,
though.
yeah.
We rented, we didn't rent, another couple, Del and I bought I think it was an old Opel, I think, while we were there. And we traveled all over with that. We went to Holland, yeah. Netherlands is beautiful, yeah. I just do remember the bicycle traffic when we got off the bus. Out of the car, because millions of bicycles, just millions of them. That was fun.
No question, no question.
No good, but we had a good time in Holland. We stayed there a couple nights, and as I said, we went to Garmisch.
Yep.
Have you been to Garmisch?
I have. That's where the Olympics were twice.
Isn't it a beautiful place?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we just thought it was beautiful. Yeah, it was really nice. I only paid $1 a night for my hotel room. Dell got a deal on military.
I'd say that's a good deal.
So, yeah, we in the churches, and at Christmas time, it was just so beautiful there, the way it was decorated. And of course, our money was worth I'm trying to think. $1 American dollar was worth 4 German marks and 20 pfennig. So we made out good on GI pay.
Yeah.
Because you didn't get much money when you were non-officer there. Yeah, and we ate out a lot. Yeah, we ate out a lot. And they were always outdoor restaurants, you know, places where you could go and sit. And then everybody was broke at the end of the month, which was okay. We were all in the same boat.
Yeah, well, yeah.
We were all in the same boat, so.
Yeah.
You saw my picture. We were going through the English Channel when that picture was taken. We were assigned, it's in the big,
here.
yeah, it's in the, those are the people I had to eat with. That was taken on the last night on board ship.
You have an autograph from the...
Well, here's the thing. Can I see that just for a minute, Greg? This has got 2 signatures because, okay, let me just stop. I have to stop and think about this. The captain was Deborah Surratt's father-in-law, and they lived in Hampton. So I got his signature in 1992 after we had been there. Let me just see here. Dell's first cousin was a doctor there in Hampton. Right. And his daughter, Debbie, married the son of the captain of the ship. And of course the ship, you know, was built in Newport News.
I did not know that.
Yes, it was. And also, Dell and I were there, and it was mothballed. It was never a troop ship like the Queen Mary was, wasn't it?
Okay,
I think it was 980 square feet long. It was just beautiful. And when it was going to be, let's see, it was pulled, or it was sent someplace to get rid of the asbestos, but it came back. And anyway, Dell and I were down there when they pulled it out of Hampton Roads. Yeah, when it was on its way overseas again. And it ended up, last I saw it was in Philadelphia. I took a bus trip after, I did a lot of traveling with different groups after Dell died. And there was one trip down to Philadelphia, the tall ships, the tall ship. And I was flabbergasted when we sailed by it. It was parked there, and it was in a terrible shape, terrible shape. It was a beautiful ocean liner, yeah. Yeah, so that was another little tidbit, okay. Think of anything, Carol?
I can't, Mom.
I got this.
Isn't that zinger? You didn't want to make sure you get on the record here?
I celebrated my, I celebrated my 91st birthday, October 7th, 2023. And basically, I have, let's see, the 4 beautiful granddaughters and 1 handsome grandson. But now I also have, and the grandson. Well, he lives in North Carolina. We saw a lot of him, didn't we? I think I kept track. I think when I officially gave this record to him, we had been with him 78 times.
Oh my gosh.
I know. For him living so far away, we got to know him really well.
Yeah.
It was fun. Yeah, and he's now a junior in college at Columbia, University of South Carolina. And see, his parents lived right in Charlotte until he was through 8th grade. And then they didn't have any, they had to get him in another high school. His school only went that far. So they picked, I think you probably have heard of this too, Davidson.
It's a fantastic school.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, not the school. I mean, it's a fantastic place, but they moved from Charlotte to Davidson. And he was in a private school there for high school. Yeah. And they love it. It's a small college town. Now, didn't David, okay. Oh, I gotta think of his name. Isn't it where he went to school? I can't remember his name now. Well, anyway, Paula and Chris love Davidson. And they said they probably will retire there. What's keeping them from retiring is health insurance.
Sure.
That's what's keeping my daughter Mary working, health insurance.
Yep.
A shame, isn't it? Yeah, so let me
How many great-grandchildren do you have?
Okay, I've got that right here. I have, I guess I was telling Greg about Aaron because he's so far away, but we did get to know him. And so I kept track of the trips, the times we were with him, and then his parents being in Davidson. He's now 20, a junior in college. I have, let's see, 4 granddaughters, 1 grandson, and the granddaughters are all married now, and I've lived to see them, which is nice to see them get married. And then I have 3 great-grandsons. One is just 1 year old. He lives in Indianapolis, Indiana. His parents are both engineers. And then we have one that stayed here locally at Faulkner. And his mom is a nurse. She's a school nurse at Bosse's. And her husband works for the Jamestown Mattress. But we see, quite a bit of them, which we're fortunate for too. Let me see. And then I have 1 great-granddaughter. She's 5. She's just adorable.
And William. Who's it?
Oh, and William. Yeah, so we have the 3 great-grandsons, and then William, who's the, or Alexander, who's the only granddaughter. Yeah. And she's adorable, yeah. I didn't bring any pictures of them, but...
I see a few of them.
Oh, I'll bet you do.
Richard's office, yeah.
Okay, hold on. I'm missing here. I worked for Empire State Mutual Life Insurance Company till they closed. Do you remember them?
Yes, I do.
It was Harry.
4th Street.
Mr. Kunkel. Did you know him?
Yeah, Larry Kunkel.
Oh, he was so nice to me when Dell had his heart attack, because I had to have so much time off work, and it was bothering the lady that was charged with personnel. It didn't bother Larry at all. He said, "You just take all the time you need," because sometimes I only worked half time because I had to be with Dell. Yeah, he was just great to me. And then they moved to, no, they did leave. They did leave the area, and then I went to Key Bank. I was in personnel first, and then commercial lending. I loved it. Commercial lending is a whole different side of banking. And I worked for Lyman Buck, who was just great. Great. We just worked together so well. Yeah. He had 14 lenders under him. And that's when we went from the typewriter to well, before the computer, it was what was the typing called? It was, I mean, the machine took up half of the room here. It was before the computer. I can't think of it. But then after that, it was the computer. And the bank, they sent us to Buffalo for training on the computer. And they didn't care how many times you went, just so you got it. And so I did some of the courses a couple times. They paid us from the time we left in the morning on the bus till we got home at night. And of course, you know, we were Bankers Trust first.
Right.
And then Key Bank. And that's when I picked my retirement because we'd gone through several sales even within Key Bank. Mm-hmm. And when after Dell died, they were going through another sale that fall. And I said, Lyman, I can't do it again. I think it's time for me to leave.
Yeah.
Oh, I know too. I went to, that year that I retired, remember the trips that JCC used to have? The 2 weeks there? I did one of those that year with a girlfriend. It was just totally amazing. We were in London for 2 weeks.
Fantastic.
It was a great trip. Yeah, we did a whole lot of things, fun things, and then we did things on our own. Yeah, it was nice. That was one of my, and I also after that, I did a trip. I got touch base with a friend of mine, a girlfriend of mine from school in Florida, so I went down there for a couple of weeks. And then I went to Arizona a couple of times. Oh my gosh, Arizona is an amazing place. Phoenix. Yeah. Flying into Phoenix, it takes your breath away. It's just so different. Yeah, I did that. That was fun. Uh-huh.
Well, you've had a full life.
I had, and I did a lot of bus trips. Mackinac Island. Oh, and I did another trip on an ocean liner to Hawaii with AAA, and we flew up to some part of over on the west coast, way up there. We picked up the ocean liner. Can't think of the name of the place now, but we were from a Saturday night to the following Wednesday on the ocean liner. The Rhapsody of the Seas. It was the first time for that ocean liner to go to Hawaii.
Wow.
And then that was a great trip too. I was with a girlfriend from Randolph, and that was a lot of fun. We did a lot of fun things, yeah. And then we spent the next, I think it was the next 6 or 7 days, touring 4 of the islands. And our boat was always the home, you know. Yeah, we never, you know. And then we didn't come home by ocean liner. They flew us home from Honolulu, I think. Isn't that where the ocean liner is? Mm-hmm. And that's an amazing thing to see too. The one that got underwater, you know. So anyway, we flew from there to Chicago, and then Chicago, this was a AAA, Chicago back to Buffalo, and then we were picked up by bus there and brought back here. That was a 2 week, that was a wonderful trip.
No moss grows on you.
No, well, I kept busy though, didn't I?
You did.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
But we did a lot of bus trips with groups out of Clymer, and AAA, their trips were wonderful. Yeah. And that stopped when they, got bought out by Pittsburgh?
Yep.
Was it Pittsburgh they got bought out by? So those trips stopped. So basically, it was a good time. And there's a difference, too, in becoming a widow at my age and a widow when you're young, like 63 or 64, because you have time to build another life. Yep. Yeah, which I tried to do, but still keep, my feet on the ground and keep. And I knew after 17 years, keeping the house, I had to let it go because it was getting too much. Yeah, so that's when I started looking around. I have to show you something. Because I knew what I wanted. I knew what I wanted, and I was hoping for something like Carlson Tower on the west side, because I wanted to stay on the west side. So I wrote, look at that. I wrote Tom Holt a letter and say, why don't you build something like Carlson Tower on the west side? So I got. Oh
yeah, look at that. Good for you.
2010. I got this generic letter back from him. He probably would die if I showed him.
Well, I was familiar with this because I was involved in
I thought you
buying
probably
the
were.
property.
I thought you probably were.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I didn't realize you were the source of all this.
And I saved that letter. As I said, I pulled it out about 10 minutes before I left to come here today. I thought, I got to show that letter to Greg.
Love it. You know, I was very much involved in that.
So anyway, it was, I wanted a place where there was an elevator, no dogs, no pets, no smoking. I can't remember what else. But the only thing is we didn't have garages. But I think that's the thing you miss the most when you leave your house. If you live someplace where you don't have a garage, that's really, that's hard. But as I said, it worked out okay. And I have been there now 12 and a half years. And I just recently officially gave up my car and I quit driving because my balance is pretty well shot, and I just thought, I can't do this anymore. Yeah, yeah. I got so I couldn't even lift the trunk of the car up. It was so heavy. I thought, you know, this is silly. Even though you have a handicap, you know, ticket there with the show, what have you. Yeah, I'm done with it. On to the next chapter now.
You're amazing. You look so great. You're so articulate. You've got really command of your facts. Yeah. Look what you did. I've never seen anybody come.
Oh, I didn't know what to do. And as I said, when Rich said yesterday, your appointment is changed it from 1:30 to 2. I said, what appointment? And then they told me, you know, so and I wondered if that's what's happening, if maybe you could call my cell phone.
Yeah, I did. And so I left, I said, I picked Friday, and told Rich that, and
this worked out good today. I gave up, because I had told them I wasn't going to play bridge today either, so it worked out good.
Well, good. I feel bad. You missed
no, that's okay. It worked out. And the less time that I had to worry about it, the better. So I did all this last night, went through all my records. Yeah, so basically it worked out good.
Well, thank you so much for sharing this. Remember, we're going to get a picture of you and Carol here, so people will know where Carol's been all day.
Okay.